To Awani Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Sarawak rolls out COVID-19 third dose and booster shots. And we look into the prospects of savings and retirement for the elderly. That's coming up. Sarawak begins administering the third dose and booster shots of the COVID-19 vaccine for its people today. It is the first state to do so. State Health Deputy Director Dr. Rosmawati Arifin said priority will be given to high-risk groups, namely the immunocompromised, the elderly and medical frontliners. She said the third dose will be given to approximately 11,900 individuals who are immunocompromised or have a weakened immune system due to diseases or medical treatment, while the booster shots will be given to 80,300 senior citizens aged 60 and above, as well as to 30,340 medical frontliners. She added that the third dose and booster shots will be made available at selected government health clinics as well as at private hospitals and clinics, with a list of participating venues to be announced soon. Those eligible can contact their respective clinics to set their appointments. Meanwhile, Sabah will be allowing movement interstate, joining the rest of the country as of November 1st. This as the state's vaccination rate reached 70% of its adult population as of 2 days ago. Inter-district movement will also be allowed beginning tomorrow. Chief Minister Dato' Hajiji Noor said that the relaxation is only for adult travellers who are fully vaccinated, adolescents between 12 and 18 who are at least partly vaccinated, and children under 12 years who are accompanied by their fully vaccinated parents. Interstate travel, including social and tourist entry into the state, will also be allowed provided that individuals are fully vaccinated. They must also show negative results on their RTKAG or RT-PCR COVID-19 test kits 3 days before they travel. IPT students across the country will start face-to-face classes again this Friday. This involves some 1.2 million students registered in 595 IPTs as of last June. So far, 83% of them are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Meanwhile, out of the over 130,000 staff in all IPTs, 90% have been fully vaccinated. According to the Ministry of Education, all prepared guidelines and SOPs to welcome students back on campus were approved by the National Security Council. Students from states under the Enhanced Movement Control Order and interstate travel restrictions are exempted from returning to campus. Students from Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan must undergo RT-PCR tests within 3 days before their departure. Based on current estimates of retirement savings, majority of Malaysians will live in poverty during the final years of their lives. The issue of income security for the elderly have long been a topic of discussion, but the unprecedented scale of the pandemic's fallout calls for greater urgency to rethink social protection policies for the group. We speak to Khazanah Research Institute Nur Thuraya Sazali to break down the scenario and what needs to be done.
We have seen like two major problems. Number one, most of our populations aged 15 to 64, at about 60% of us who age 15 to 64 don't even have formal retirement savings. That's number one. And number two, when we do have retirement saving, usually it's like with the Employees Provident Fund, which is EPF, we don't even have enough. In 2020, they reported that their members aged about like 54, most of them don't even have 20,000 ringgit in their accounts, which translates into about like 200 ringgit per month for 20 years. So like what can you get for 200 ringgit, right? That's before, COVID. Before COVID happens. When COVID happens, we all know this, the withdrawal schemes, iLestari, iSINA and iCitra. Those who access the scheme typically are those who need the money the most, number one. And number two, they are most vulnerable of having limited retirement savings.
Thuraya suggested establishing a social insurance pension for the old age to provide basic income security for the elderly, given coverage and adequacy challenges of old age savings.
social pension is essentially state transfer or government transfer to population above certain age. And then this transfer has to be regular. So typically it's a lifetime. So a monthly quote-unquote benefit for a lifetime. And then we do have this in Malaysia. We have this under the Bantuan Warga Emas, BOT, previously known as Bantu Orang Tua. And we also have it for civil service pensions. So in Malaysia, it's exclusive to the two extreme groups, right? And leaving the middle, we call it as a missing middles, which we have to rely, we have to rely on our EPF savings, and we know that EPF saving is not pension, it's a lump sum savings.
The government reactivated the Malaysia Social Protection Council, MySPC, last year, with the aim of improving the social security of every Malaysian. KRI's Nur Thuraya suggests further initiatives for MySPC to help achieve that aim.
I would like to see from MySPC in particular a concrete move forwards. Any program or any policy that is introduced later on to have a proper legal backing, because a program without a legal backing can be retracted, can be withdrawn anytime. So we need that. We need a legal shelter to a certain program, and if that is difficult, if that is not achievable in the short term, then whatever it is that they want to propose, MySPC with regard to old age income security, I at least want them to see a pilot study. Start with something small, like try it out in certain locality. It could be a state, it could be a district. Whatever model that we want to introduce, so that we can monitor and we can also evaluate the effectiveness before we implement it nationwide.
The High Court was told today that former Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi had used over 1.2 million ringgit in Yayasan Akal Budi funds to pay for his credit card bills. These charges include purchases at luxury stores around the world, like Giorgio Armani, Louis Vuitton and Hermes. Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Raja Rosela Raja Toran said Zahid and his wife Datin Sri Hamidah Khamis had spent the amount for shopping in just 2 years. The prosecution previously submitted evidence that 43 cheques in Yayasan Akal Budi's name had been issued to make payments between January 2014 to January 2016 for the credit card bills. Though the couple's spending habits would not be used as part of the legal case against Ahmad Zahid, Raja Rosela made a remark whether they had in mind the poor people in Malaysia when they went for their shopping sprees. Ahmad Zahid is facing 47 charges, 12 for criminal breach of trust, 8 for corruption and 27 for money laundering involving tens of millions of ringgit belonging to Yayasan Akal Budi. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Ayuh keluarga Malaysia, kita bulatkan tekad dan bersatu hati untuk terus memelihara serta mempertahankan kedaulatan negara. Sebagai keluarga Malaysia yang besar, kita harus bertoleransi dalam semua perkara. Hormat menghormati serta mengekalkan perpaduan rakyat yang berbilang kaum, agama dan bangsa serta integrasi nasional silang budaya adalah tunjang kekuatan kita sebagai sebuah negara bangsa yang berjaya. Umpama selembar benang dikait, ditenun dan dijalin, akhirnya menjadi kain yang sempurna indah.
Welcome back. More than 2,000 travellers have been granted a pass to enter Singapore under a quarantine-free travel scheme after the first day of applications opening for visitors. These passes are under the Vaccinated Travel Lane scheme, which allows fully vaccinated people from 8 different countries to enter Singapore. Countries include the UK, Canada, Denmark, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain and the US. The applications, which opened yesterday, are for individuals to enter Singapore between October 19 to November 17th. There are now 11 countries, not including Malaysia, that are approved by the government under the VTL scheme. Brunei and Germany were the first approved, with over 5,200 passes issued for travels between September 8 and November 17th. This is the government's approach towards reopening of their international borders to low COVID-19 risk countries. After 18 months, the popular Indonesian resort island of Bali awaits in excitement for international tourists as it reopens tomorrow. That is, under strict entry rules. The development came as Indonesia's daily new COVID-19 cases dropped sharply in recent days. Bali opens for foreigners who come from countries with a COVID-19 positivity rate of less than 5% and those who have been fully vaccinated. These include visitors from China, South Korea, Japan, the United Arab Emirates and New Zealand. Travellers would need to show negative results for COVID-19 tests within 72 hours before their departures and have proofs of accommodation bookings. Upon arriving at Bali's airport, visitors are required to take a physical examination and a PCR test, among others. They would also need to follow a 5-day quarantine, a duration that has been cut from the previous 8 days, at an accredited 3- to 5-star hotel starting from US $60 per night. Australia's Northern Territory is making COVID-19 vaccination mandatory for service workers. Authorities announced today that shop workers, tour guides and barbers now need to be inoculated to work, making it the world's most strict vaccine mandate to date. As for other parts of Australia, COVID vaccines are made mandatory for healthcare workers and teachers. In Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, those who refuse a vaccine can be fined, while Fiji has a policy of no jab, no job for all government workers. All around the world, the unvaccinated are barred from indoor or crowded venues, including in Malaysia. But the NT's rules go further than most democracies. NT, home to Aboriginals and vulnerable remote communities, stretches from tropical Darwin on the Timor Sea to settlements of Alice Springs and Uluru. Alibaba founder Jack Ma, who disappeared from public view since late last year, has resurfaced in Hong Kong, according to sources who spoke to Reuters. It was reported that he met business associates for meals in the Asian financial hub last week. The Chinese billionaire has kept a low profile since November last year after he openly criticized the Chinese banking system in a public speech in October 2020. His statements angered the banking establishment before it reached attention of President Xi Jinping. This was just before affiliate company Ant Group would have launched the world's biggest initial public offering on the stock exchange. After a chain of events, Ant Group's mega IPO was suspended and shares in Mars companies fell, wiping nearly $76 billion of its value. As the country opens up, how should individuals, families, enterprises and venues think about testing, an underused tool in the public health kit? Tonight on Consider This, we speak to our guests about Malaysia's testing challenge. That is all we have for you on Awani tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and the Astro Awani app. I'm Farhan Ashey. We'll see you again.